Good morning. Today I kind of wanted to talk about blessings, one in particular, and how I chose my major in college. So, starting in about, I'd say, 7th grade, I started really loving to write. I started writing poetry a lot. I started writing short stories a lot. I just loved writing. When I got into high school, my class got in trouble one time. Not me, but my people in my class, and he punished the whole class, and made us all write an essay on respect, And strangely enough, ever since then, I'm like, writing essays is so fun. And I started to write essays just for fun about random topics. I loved writing. And so when I went into college, I started taking creative writing classes, and I was trying to decide what to do, and I kind of wanted to be an English major because I loved writing so much. What else would I be, But, as I was starting to decide those things, I was thinking about it. I kind of wanted to be an editor of something. I liked correcting things, and I'm really detail-oriented, and I wanted to be an editor, but at that time, this was, 2010, I realized that, things were starting to go more technology-wise, and I probably wouldn't be sitting there, with a pen, fixing people's mistakes if I was an editor or whatever, I would be on the computer. And I realized I probably didn't really want that. So, I had received some counsel and a blessing about school, several years prior, that told me kind of what to focus on while I was in school. And for some reason in my mind, I assumed that was just high school. But as I was in college, I was reviewing and remembering what this blessing had said to me and what it told me to focus on, and I was like, oh, I guess college is still school. Still school, right? So I decided to change my major to family studies. And I started taking all these, the family and stress and marriage as an interpersonal process, and all these classes to do family studies. And it really changed my life in wonderful ways. I'd had some poor family relationships, and especially my marriage as an interpersonal process class. Holy cow, changed my whole life. It basically teaches you how to get along with other people. And when I finished the class, I was like, this should be a general education class, because who doesn't need to know how to interact with people? You may not need to know the chemistry of something, but everybody needs to know how to have healthy relationships. Blows my mind that that's not a gen ed class. Anyway, it was so amazing. I learned such incredible things in that class. And in particular, I learned one thing. My favorite thing, I'll just share really quick. I learned, so we were supposed to write this paper about a relationship we had that was struggling, and, what could be done to fix it, So I wrote this paper. I focused on this really negative relationship that I had, and I, went through all the things that needed to change and all the things that they needed to change in order for things to be better. They're the problem. They're the reason why our relationship is bad, and they need to fix it, and then things will be better. And mind you, this is like my favorite class I've ever taken. Like, I really respected this professor. He was so incredible, and the material was so incredible. It all combined for him to be like my favorite person at the time, you know. And I wrote this paper, and I got it back. I was so impressed with myself, you know, that I had discovered, using the tools he'd given me, how to fix this relationship that was a real problem in my life. And I was really proud of this paper. I love writing, you know, so this paper was another opportunity for me to do something that I loved. And I got this paper back, and I had not the greatest grade on it, and I was really surprised. And, you know, we had handed the paper in, I think, like a paper copy, you know, so he handed the paper copy back, and I looked at it, and he'd written this note on the top that said, this paper was supposed to be about what you can do to improve a relationship, and all you wrote about was what the other person was doing wrong, what they could fix. What does that say about you? I was so shocked and like cut to the heart, like, oh my gosh, and embarrassed. Like, this person I respect and look up to and want them to think good of me and think I'm a good writer and think I'm a good person, pointed out that I, you know, blame everyone else for my problems. Man, it changed my whole life. Like, I was like, wow, I did not realize that that's what I had been doing. Anyway, that's just one experience that I had in this incredible class that taught me all these amazing things. And it was all because I decided to follow the counsel in this blessing that I had received. And then I'll get into the story later of how I met my husband and the miracles surrounding that and what happened all before that and in between. But I didn't realize that the blessing that told me what to focus on in school and major in practically, I didn't realize that it would not only just help me, you know, have better relationships at the time and learn some good skills, but how much that would impact my whole life for the rest of forever. I am part of a blended family now, and my husband was divorced when I met him with 3 kids, and I cannot tell you how screwed I would feel if I didn't know all of these skills that I would learn in between that time when I first started college, you know, and as I, you know, went on a mission and then came back home and was trying to find my spouse, you know, and doing all these things and waiting for what seemed like forever. I got married when I was 26, which in Utah, where I'm from, and in Utah County, which is where like Provo is, where BYU college or university is. I didn't, you know, I thought it was taking forever. It's a big deal when you're 26. Most people get married, as far as I understand, like around the age of 20. And when you're living there and you're like far past, you know, the median age, I mean, people get married 18, 19, 20 in Utah. I think the age is slowly rising, but, you know, by the time you're 26, you're like some of the oldest people in the area who were single. And it was hard, and I felt like I was doing everything God had asked me to do. I was following all the counsel he'd given me, and it was just taking forever, you know. And then when I finally, like in that span, I was learning all these things, taking all of these classes for family studies, and then when I met my husband, he was divorced. And now I have a blended family, and I cannot tell you how thankful I am that I received that blessing that gave me counsel to give me success, not just in a few better relationships, but giving me tools and strategies and knowledge about how to navigate the rest of my life being in a blended family. I am so grateful for God's foreknowledge. Did He force me to take those classes? No, of course not. Did He know that they would be beneficial? Absolutely. He knows what we're going to do ahead of time, and He gives us commandments, and He gives us counsel, and He gives us personal revelation to bless us, but we don't have to follow it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I get in some debates with people sometimes on YouTube in the comments section about God and His omniscience, which means God knows everything ahead of time. He knows what's going to happen. And that people believe that God being omniscient means there's no true agency, that you can't really choose anything because He already knows what's going to happen. I promise you that even though He knows what's going to happen, He has given us agency. He does not force us to do anything. He knows what decisions we'll make, but even so, still gives us opportunities for choosing and doing better things. Even if He knows we won't, He still gives us the opportunity and plans out things that we could have that we may or may not choose. And it truly is up to us. Like, He knew that by following the path I was following, even if I would have taken a different major, I probably still would have ended up in many of the same places. I mean, I didn't meet my husband at college or in like a class, so it's not like I had to be taking this class in order to meet him. If I would have changed to a different major, I probably would have been around the same place. I can't see how that necessarily would have changed much in regards to where I ended up meeting my husband, and everything. But God knew that I would meet Him, that we would get married, I would have a blended family, and He gave me an opportunity and counsel to take advantage of something that could bless me later. I did not have to choose that. It was just some counsel and a blessing that I could have been like, oh, that was just for high school. That was so long ago. But for some reason, I chose to trust that counsel and followed it. And wow, received life-changing blessings for following that counsel that I could have ignored, and things would have been a lot harder for me right now. If I didn't know what to do, didn't have skills for what to do, I just can't imagine. It's difficult for me to imagine how much harder my life would be, my marriage would be, my relationships would be without having followed that counsel. And I could have ignored it. Hands down, could have ignored it. But He wanted to bless me and gave me counsel that didn't make sense for like almost 10 years. Well, actually, let me think here. No, it was over 10 years. That counsel, I was like, okay, sounds interesting, I had no idea how much it would change my life and bless my life. I'm trying to think, 15 years later, almost 15 years later. God knows us. He knows what we need, and He offers blessings to us that we can reject or deny. Any person at any time can make the choice to follow God's counsel, to try to learn more about Him and come to Him. We can do that. We can choose, and we can choose not to. And He still presents us with opportunities to do it. Knowing how long it will take, even knowing that we may never choose it, He gives us opportunities. Okay, that's part of the agency. Like, He's not like, oh, I know this person is always going to reject me and is never going to turn to me, so I'm not even going to try. He still, in order to truly give us agency, gives us blessings and opportunities and counsel that we can reject, even if he knows that we're not going to reject it, so that we had the choice, truly had the choice. I know that that's true. Do you know how many times people who later joined the church, had opportunities to learn about it sooner than that? Even though they were rejecting it, he still gives us opportunities to know him, hoping, that we will, knowing what we need to, giving us all the opportunities we need, so that when we're in a place that we will, we've been prepared. And even if we never do, we could have. Really. Our lives are... God has planned out things to bless us in our lives and give us opportunities that he knows we will reject. And I know that there are things that I've rejected, blessings and opportunities that I could have chosen differently and had a different outcome. And that there could have been, blessings there for me that I rejected. But the opportunity was still there to truly give us the choice. I know that that's true. I know that God, the main point of God's plan is agency, giving us knowledge, giving us choices, so that we can become something. It's so loving of him to give us agency, true agency, to choose him or not. People get upset that God won't interject into their lives and show himself to them, but he is not going to force us to do anything. He literally won't. He won't force us to do anything. He gives us agency. Every person who's ever gained a true testimony of God and Jesus Christ did so of their own free will. God never forces a Christian to be a Christian. Ever. They do things that invite them to feel the Spirit, and then they make their own choice based off of what they felt and what they felt that they know. My testimony is that God knows us, knows what's going to happen, and gives us opportunities. Regardless of what we'll do, the choice is there for us to make. We can't blame God for our bad choices. God knew I was going to do this. He made me do this. No, he didn't. He doesn't make us do bad things, and he doesn't make us do good things, but he invites us to do good things. He wants us to be happy, and he knows which things will bring us happiness. He is the most perfect, loving Father, and he will give us what we need in order to feel his love, if we are willing to give him the opportunities to show us his love. Sometimes he'll even do it anyway. I know God does miracles for people and blesses them and helps them, even sometimes when they don't accept him immediately. But there are opportunities for us to turn to him. I apologize now at the end for crickets chirping. Hopefully you could hear me this whole time. I'll just sing a really quick primary song and then end with my testimony that I know that God knows us. I know that he knows what's coming and can give us counsel and direction to prepare us if we're willing to listen. I know my Father lives and loves me too. The Spirit whispers this to me and tells me it is true. And Thanks for watching. Here's a lovely morning, sunshiny view of my garden over there that's flourishing. So beautiful. I'll talk to you soon.